You ever felt that fire inside you when someone crosses the line? That sting when someone looks you dead in the eye and treats you like you don't matter? When you feel that mix of anger and confusion, but deep down, it's not just about what they said, it's about what it took from you. Your peace, your balance, your sense of control. Now here's the truth, most men react in two ways. They either explode or they shrink. They yell, they chase validation, or they go silent and eat the pain. But either way, they lose, because the moment you let someone else's disrespect define your reaction, you give them power, you make them the center of your energy, and that's where most men destroy their strength. Let me ask you something. Why do we always feel this need to prove we're strong when we're disrespected? Why do we talk about teaching them a lesson, or getting even, or making them regret it? Why does silence suddenly feel weak, when in truth, silence might be the most powerful move a man can make? You see, what society teaches men about respect is backwards. We're told to fight for it, to defend it, to show force. But Stoic wisdom says something completely different. You don't fight for respect, you become it. When you become respect, you no longer chase it, you no longer demand it. People feel it, they sense it in your tone, in your calmness, in your aura, that invisible energy that says, I know who I am, and your words can't touch that. This video isn't about revenge, it's not about ego battles, it's about something far deeper. It's about mastering your response, because the way you handle disrespect determines the level of peace you live with and the type of man you become. So ask yourself, do you want to live reacting to every insult like a puppet on strings? Or do you want to reach that level of power where your silence feels louder than someone's words, where your absence becomes your answer, where your focus on your purpose, your growth, your calm becomes the punishment they never expected? Because here's the truth, disrespect doesn't break powerful men, it reveals them. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to handle it the Stoic way. Not by fighting fire with fire, but by becoming the flame that can't be touched. Never let emotion lead the response. You ever notice how the moment someone disrespects you, your body reacts before your mind does? That instant heat in your chest, your hands tense up, your jaw locks, your brain screams, say something, don't let them get away with that. That's emotion taking the wheel, and that's exactly how you lose your power. See, when you react out of anger or hurt, you hand over control, not just of the situation, but of yourself. The person who disrespected you, they now own your energy. They've hijacked your focus. You're no longer choosing your move, you're being pulled into theirs. But here's what most men never realize. Disrespect isn't always about you. Sometimes it's projection, sometimes it's a test, sometimes it's weakness pretending to be strength. So why give your peace to someone who's already lost theirs? Why argue with noise when you can walk with silence? Why show them they've touched you when your real power is in showing that they can't? Think about this for a second. How many times have you replayed a disrespectful moment in your head, over and over, trying to come up with what you should have said, and yet deep down you knew saying something wouldn't fix it, because words don't restore power, control does. This is where emotional mastery separates strong men from reactive ones. A man who controls his emotions isn't cold, he's clear. He doesn't suppress the feeling, he studies it. He understands what triggered it, why it hurt, and what it exposed in him. And once he understands it, he owns it. And when he owns it, nobody can use it against him again. That's how you win without fighting. That's how you dominate without raising your voice. You don't meet disrespect with emotion. You meet it with understanding. Because here's the thing, when you stay calm in the face of chaos, people start to question their own behavior. They feel your steadiness, they see your restraint, and whether they admit it or not, they respect it. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause, don't speak, don't react. Let that silence stretch. Let them feel how little their words can move you. That pause, that calm, that stillness, that's not weakness, that's dominance disguised as peace. The man who can stay calm when disrespected is a man who can't be controlled because his emotions aren't his master. He is, and when you reach that level, people stop testing you, not because you threatened them, but because they feel your power in your calm. Never try to explain yourself to the wrong person. You ever notice how, when someone disrespects you, your first instinct is to justify yourself, to explain, to prove that you didn't mean what they think you meant, to show that your intentions were good? You start saying things like, "Wait, that's not what I was trying to say. I didn't mean to come off that way. I just wanted you to understand." But here's the brutal truth. You can't reason with someone who's already decided to misunderstand you, and yet that's what most men do. They chase understanding from people who have no intention of giving it. They start negotiating their own worth just to restore peace with someone who never valued them in the first place. Why do we do that? Why do we keep explaining ourselves to people who twist our words? Why do we try to convince someone of our value when our silence already says it better? Because deep down, we hate being misunderstood. We want to fix it. We want them to see that we're not the bad guy. But every time you explain yourself to the wrong person, you lose something. You lose your mystery. You lose your frame. You lose your peace. The Stoics had a phrase for this. You cannot control another man's opinion, only your own response. Let that sink in. When you explain yourself to someone who's disrespecting you, you're not defending your truth, you're fighting for theirs, you're stepping into their emotional arena, and once you do that, they own the rules. That's how power shifts, silently, not with shouting, not with arguments. But the moment you start explaining your worth, you've already agreed that it's up for debate. So what should a man do instead? He says less, he does less. He lets time and consistency speak louder than emotion and defense. Because a man who's solid doesn't chase clarity from others. He creates it through his actions. He doesn't try to make people understand him. He becomes so focused on his purpose that misunderstanding becomes irrelevant. And here's the thing, people feel that difference. When you stop explaining, they start noticing. When you stop defending, they start wondering. And when you stop chasing, they start questioning themselves. That's the paradox of true self-worth. When you no longer need to be understood, that's when you finally are. So next time someone disrespects you, don't explain your silence, don't explain your decision, don't explain your boundaries. Let them wonder, let them assume, let them think what they want. Because your peace doesn't come from being understood, it comes from knowing yourself so deeply that misunderstanding can't touch you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your worth. Your actions will prove it quietly, day after day, and the ones meant to see it, they always do. That's how you shift from needing validation to embodying it. That's when your presence becomes untouchable, not because you explained yourself, but because you stopped needing to. Never try to get even, it's a trap. Let me ask you something. When someone disrespects you, what's your first thought? Be honest. It's not calm, it's not logical, it's not peaceful, it's revenge. You want to make them feel what they made you feel. You want them to regret it. You want them to realize who they just messed with, right? That's the trap. That's where most men fall. Because the moment you try to get even, you lose the very thing that makes you powerful, control. Think about it. When you react with anger, you're not leading anymore. You're following their disrespect. They become the ones who set your emotional direction. They move, you move. They insult, you respond. They provoke, you explode. And guess what? They win. Because the man who reacts has already lost the frame. Let me ask you, what's harder? To explode in anger and prove a point, or to walk away in silence and keep your dignity? Which one feels stronger, shouting for respect or commanding it through calmness? You see, real power doesn't need to teach lessons, it doesn't need to get even, because the man who's truly confident knows that people destroy themselves faster than you ever could. You don't need to fight them. Their own lack of control will do that for you. Stoic wisdom teaches this clearly. Anger is temporary madness. Every time you try to punish someone emotionally, you start fighting a war inside your own mind. You start replaying scenarios, overthinking what you should have said, how you should have reacted, and that cycle eats your peace. Now here's the part no one tells you. The person who disrespected you wants your reaction. They want to see you break. They want to feel powerful by pulling emotion out of you, and the moment you react, you give them that satisfaction to mope out for balance. So what does a stoic man do instead? He lets silence be the punishment. He lets absence create the weight. He lets peace do what anger can't, confuse them, because silence makes people think, it makes them uncomfortable, it forces them to face themselves without the distraction of your reaction. And in that space, something powerful happens. They start realizing that they no longer have emotional access to you. They can't reach you through guilt, drama, or manipulation. And when someone loses that power, they start to crumble. That's the beauty of emotional detachment. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about caring so much about your peace that you refuse to waste it on nonsense. When you stay calm while everyone else is losing control, people feel that strength. It's rare, it's magnetic, it's unsettling to those who live in chaos. Because your calmness reminds them of what they lack: discipline, control, and inner balance. You're not supposed to match people's disrespect. You're supposed to rise above it so your energy can't be touched. Because when a man learns to stay still while others swing wildly, he becomes something most can't understand: unshakable. And here's the irony: the moment you stop trying to get even, life gets even for you. People who disrespected you start facing their own consequences, and you don't even have to lift a finger. That's not karma, that's natural correction. So the next time someone disrespects you and your ego whispers, show them who you are. Smile, because you already are. You're the man who doesn't need to fight for respect. He simply embodies it. Let them deal with their own storm. You stay the calm. That's how you win. Not by reacting, but by mastering yourself so completely that disrespect can't reach your peace. That's what makes a man truly untouchable. Why you don't need them to understand. Have you ever caught yourself rehearsing what you would say if you ever got the chance to explain your side? You imagine the conversation. You imagine them finally understanding how much you cared. You imagine them finally realizing how badly they hurt you. You imagine closure. But let me ask you this. Why do we crave closure so badly? Why do we wait for someone who broke our peace to fix it? Why do we hand over the keys to our healing to the same people who locked us in pain? Strange, isn't it? You think if they just understood your heart, you'd finally be free. You think if they said, "I'm sorry," everything would settle inside you. But here's the truth. Closure is not something they give. It's something you decide. Because the truth is, most people who hurt you don't want to understand you. They want to move on without accountability. They want to forget the damage while you're still standing in the ruins. And the more you chase their understanding, the deeper you stay stuck in that ruin. Let's get real for a moment. What are you actually seeking when you say you want closure? Peace? Validation? Answers? Because peace is an inside job. Validation is a dependency. And answers? They rarely come clean. Most of the time, the person who hurt you doesn't even have the emotional depth to understand what they did. You're expecting awareness from someone who lacks it. You're asking for maturity from someone who was running from their own reflection. So what happens? You sit there waiting for an apology that may never come. You replay the story in your head, hoping it will suddenly make sense, but it never does, because the healing doesn't begin when they understand you. It begins when you understand yourself. When you finally realize that your peace doesn't depend on their guilt, that your healing doesn't require their approval, that your story moves forward the moment you stop giving them emotional rent in your mind. Here's the brutal truth. Closure is often just an excuse to stay attached to what's gone. It's the mind's way of holding on while pretending it's letting go. You don't want closure. You want connection again. You want to feel that emotional thread just one more time. But that's not healing. That's self-sabotage, wearing a gentle mask. And here's the real kicker. When you stop looking for closure, you actually find it. Because closure isn't a conversation. It's a realization. It's when you say, "They don't owe me peace, I owe it to myself." The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." You can't control whether they apologize, whether they feel guilty, or whether they ever see your worth. But you can control one thing, your response. And your strongest response is detachment. Not coldness, not bitterness, but quiet acceptance. The acceptance that says, "I don't need them to make it right. I make it right by letting it go." Because when you stop chasing closure, you regain your freedom. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop replaying the story, and instead you rewrite it. You become the author again. You see, a man who seeks closure from others is still asking for permission to move on. But a man who creates his own closure, he becomes unstoppable. He turns pain into power. He turns loss into direction. He turns silence into strength. You want peace? Stop waiting for them to give it to you. You want freedom? Stop expecting them to understand you. You want closure? Say this to yourself: "It ends because I said it does." Because true closure doesn't come when they come back. It comes when you stop looking back. You've got to understand, the greatest revenge, the greatest peace, the greatest power is indifference. It's when you stop explaining, stop proving, stop hoping, and simply walk forward. That's when you shift from pain to power. That's when your silence becomes your statement. That's when the past loses its hold because you finally realize it never defined you. You did. And that, my friend, is the moment you stop surviving and start living again. The silent power that commands respect. Why do people lose respect for you the moment you start reacting emotionally? Why does the same person who once admired your strength suddenly treat you like a child the moment you lose your calm? Why is it that in relationships, the man who stays collected always has the power while the one who explodes loses everything? Think about it. Every time you get angry, overreact, or raise your voice, you're not showing strength. You're showing dependency. You're showing that your inner world is being controlled by someone else's behavior. And here's the harsh truth. People, especially women, subconsciously test your emotional balance, not because they want to break you, but because they want to see if you can handle them. They want to see if your calm is real, or if it's just a mask that falls apart when things don't go your way. Let me ask you something real. How many times did you raise your voice to prove your point, only to realize later it made you look desperate? How many times did you let anger or pain dictate your tone, your words, your energy? You see, in that moment you lost the frame. You gave them power without realizing it, because the one who can make you react owns you emotionally. But the one who can stay calm in chaos, he owns the moment. He becomes unpredictable. He becomes respected. He becomes the man everyone has to adjust around. That's the art of emotional mastery. It's not about suppressing emotions. That's weakness disguised as control. Suppression is just pressure waiting to explode. True emotional control is awareness. It's knowing what you feel but not being ruled by it. It's saying, yes, I feel the anger, but I choose not to feed it. Because emotions are like fires. You can use them to cook your meal or burn your house down. And most men, they burn their own house down trying to prove a point. Let me tell you something powerful. Women can feel your energy long before you speak. If your emotions are all over the place, your energy feels unstable. If your words are calm but your vibe screams chaos, they sense it. You can't fake calmness. You have to become it. That's why Stoic men are magnetic. They walk into a room and you can feel the steadiness in their presence. They don't talk too much. They don't react too fast. They listen. They observe. And when they finally speak, people listen. Because control commands attention, not loudness, not anger, not dominance, control. Now here's the real challenge. Emotional mastery doesn't happen when things are easy. It's built in the moments when your ego is screaming for revenge, when you're tempted to send that long text, when you want to prove that you're right. That's when discipline either wins or your weakness does. But once you learn to hold your composure, you shift the dynamic completely. Suddenly they start questioning themselves. They start wondering why you're so calm, why you're not chasing, why you're not explaining, why you don't seem affected, and that mystery creates attraction. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who feels deeply yet responds selectively. You see, in this world, people are constantly trying to pull you into emotional chaos, because chaos is control. The moment you get angry, you lose leverage. The moment you overreact, they win. But when you stay calm, you make them uncomfortable, because now they have to deal with the weight of their own actions while you stand unshaken. That's real strength. That's real presence. And here's the beauty of it. Once you master emotional control, you start seeing disrespect differently. You no longer take it personally. You see it as a reflection of their instability, not yours. You stop needing to prove your worth through reactions. Because the man who controls his emotions controls the entire situation, and the one who controls the situation never loses respect. So, next time someone disrespects you, remember, your silence, your calm, your stillness is not weakness. It's dominance in disguise. It's power refined. It's the energy that says, "You cannot move me." And when you can't be moved, you become the gravity in the room. Everything starts to orbit around you. That's when you truly step into your power. That's when you stop reacting and start leading. Why needing to be liked is destroying your power? Let me ask you something that might sting a little. Why do you care so much about being liked? Why do you twist yourself into someone else's shape just to get approval? Why do you silence your truth, walk on eggshells and pretend to be chill just so they won't leave? Think about that for a second. You weren't born this way. You didn't come into this world seeking permission to exist. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you that being liked equals being safe. But here's the bitter truth most men never face. The moment you start chasing approval, you give away your power. Every smile you fake, every text you overthink, every yes you say when you really want to say no, all of it, tiny cuts that bleed your masculine energy dry, and it happens slowly. At first you think you're just being nice. Then one day, you wake up and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're living like a puppet, pulled by the strings of everyone's opinion but your own. But here's the truth. No one tells you the need to be liked is the need to be controlled. Because the moment someone realizes you crave approval, they can shape you however they want. You stop leading, you start performing, you stop expressing your truth, you start editing yourself to stay accepted. And do you know what happens when you do that for too long? You lose respect. People can feel it. They can feel that you need them more than they need you. They can feel that your smile hides fear. And women, they feel it the most. Because women don't want a man who needs approval to feel valuable. They want a man who already knows his worth with or without their validation. See, there's a deep difference between being kind and being approval hungry. Kindness is strength under control. Approval chasing is fear wearing a fake smile. Let's be honest. How many times have you apologized for things that weren't even your fault? How many times did you keep quiet just to keep the peace, even when your soul screamed for honesty? How many times did you think, if I just do more, maybe they'll see my value? That's not love. That's slavery, dressed as affection. The Stoics had a simple rule. Don't attach your peace to what you can't control. And people's opinions, you can't control them. You can't control how they see you. You can't control how they treat you, but you can control how you see yourself. That's where detachment enters the scene. Not the cold, robotic kind, but the kind that says, I know my worth, even if you don't. When you detach from needing to be liked, something magical happens. Your words start carrying weight. Your silence becomes powerful. Your boundaries stop being negotiable. Because when you no longer need everyone's validation, you start living from truth instead of fear. And truth is magnetic. People are drawn to authenticity. They may not always agree with you, but they'll respect you. And that respect, it lasts longer than approval ever could. Let me give you an example. Imagine two men walk into a room. One is trying to impress everyone, cracking forced jokes, agreeing with everything, nodding too often. The other, he says little. He observes. He doesn't care if people like him or not, because he's comfortable in his own silence. Which one do people notice? Which one commands respect without saying a word? It's always the second one, because presence doesn't come from noise, it comes from peace, and peace comes from detachment. Now here's where most men go wrong. They confuse being liked with being valuable. But you're not valuable because people clap for you. You're valuable because you bring something real to the table. Discipline, focus, direction, self-respect. When you live by principles instead of opinions, people start orbiting around your energy. You don't have to chase, you don't have to prove, you don't even have to convince. Your aura starts speaking for you. Your silence becomes louder than their approval. So the next time you feel that pull, that desperate urge to be liked, pause. Ask yourself, what am I giving up in exchange for this approval? Because sometimes you're trading your peace just to be tolerated, and that's the worst trade a man can ever make. Real confidence doesn't scream, please like me. It whispers, I'm fine if you don't, because the man who doesn't need to be liked becomes the one everyone wants to be around. That's how you regain your power, not by being liked, but by being respected. Why your scarcity is your superpower. Ever notice how people only start valuing you the moment you stop showing up for them? It's strange, right? When you're available, they take you for granted, but when you disappear, suddenly, your silence gets louder than your presence ever did. Why is that? Why do people only realize your worth when you're no longer in reach? Why does the world start chasing the man who stops chasing it? Let's be honest. Most men don't understand the psychology of scarcity. They think being available equals love. They think constant presence equals connection. But in reality, constant presence kills curiosity. It kills mystery. It kills value. Here's the truth. The more available you are, the less you are seen. See, humans are wired to want what's limited. We crave what feels rare. That's why diamonds are valuable, not because they're the most beautiful stone, but because they're hard to get. And yet, most men treat themselves like air, always around, always giving, always accessible. Then they wonder why no one values them. You give too much time, too many explanations, too many chances, and you call it love. But what it really is fear of loss. You're scared that if you create space, they'll move on. You're scared that if you become unavailable, they'll find someone else. But that fear, that's exactly what keeps you trapped in emotional chains. Because here's the paradox. The man who fears losing others always ends up losing himself. And the man who can walk away without fear becomes unforgettable. That's what scarcity does. It turns ordinary into legendary. It turns presence into privilege. You ever notice how people treat something differently when they know it's rare? When you stop replying instantly, when you stop being at everyone's call, when you start protecting your time, people adjust. They begin to measure their words, respect your boundaries, and value every moment you give them, not because you became mean or distant, but because you finally made your energy expensive. See, most men give away their presence like it's free candy, but a Stoic man, he guards it like treasure. He knows not everyone deserves access to his peace. He knows his attention is a form of currency. Every time you give your attention to something meaningless, you're spending the most valuable thing you own. Your time, your focus, your energy. Let me say it straight. If everyone has access to you, then you belong to no one, not even yourself. Scarcity isn't about ego. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about discipline. It's about saying, my energy is sacred and not everyone gets to experience it. You want to know why people start respecting you when you disappear? Because absence resets perception. When you step back, people get the space to reflect. They start remembering your value. They start realizing how much peace your presence brought. Peace they couldn't see when it was right in front of them. And that's not manipulation, that's balance. You're not withholding yourself to gain control. You're simply living your life, not making others the center of it, because when your world doesn't revolve around them, that's when they start orbiting around you. And this is where true attraction begins, not from chasing, not from proving, but from creating distance that makes your presence meaningful again. You see, when you fill your time with purpose, when you build a life that excites you, you naturally become scarce. You're not always available to text. You're not always free to hang out. You're not always waiting for validation. And that's when people start wondering, what's he doing? Why does he seem so calm? So fulfilled? So focused? Because mystery is magnetic, and scarcity is what keeps mystery alive. But here's the secret. Scarcity isn't about disappearing. It's about being selective. It's about knowing when to engage and when to let silence speak. Because silence is your loudest language, and when you master it, people start chasing the quiet man they once ignored. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't react. Withdraw your presence, withdraw your access, withdraw your energy, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. Because your absence teaches what your words never could. And the moment they realize your energy isn't endless, they'll understand that having you was a privilege, not a right. That's the power of scarcity. It doesn't just rebuild your value, it rebuilds your peace. The power of emotional control, when calm becomes your revenge. Have you ever noticed how silence can shake a room more than shouting ever could? How your calm face can make the person who disrespected you sweat more than any angry comeback ever would? That's emotional power, and most men don't have it. Most men explode. They get triggered, loud, defensive. They try to prove they're not weak. But every time you react, you lose control. Every time you show anger, you hand your power to the one who provoked it. So here's the real question. What if the most powerful response isn't rage but stillness? What if silence isn't weakness but a signal that you can't be moved? What if the man who stays calm while others try to break him is actually the one who wins every time? See, disrespect is not just about words, it's a test. A test of how well you can handle yourself when your pride is poked, when your ego is under attack, when someone tries to drag you down to their emotional level. And that's the trap. They want your reaction because your reaction gives them validation. It feeds their power. But when you don't react, when you keep your composure, you cut off their oxygen. They expect chaos, but you give them silence. They expect shouting, but you give them calm. They expect drama, but you walk away. That's when they feel it, the unease, the confusion, the respect, because emotional control is rare, and anything rare becomes magnetic. Look, society tells men to stand up for yourself, to clap back, to prove them wrong, but true power doesn't need to prove itself. It just exists, quietly, unshakably. You see, when you master your emotions, you're no longer controlled by the outside world. No one can ruin your mood. No one can make you act against your values. No one can touch your peace. That's what separates a stoic man from a reactive man. A reactive man lives like a puppet. He moves when someone pulls his strings. They insult him, he reacts. They ignore him, he panics. They provoke him, he loses control. But a Stoic man, he cuts those strings. He doesn't dance for approval. He doesn't need to win the argument. He already won because he stayed calm. That's the mark of real strength. Anyone can shout. Anyone can fight. But not everyone can sit in silence and let their calmness do the talking. Think about this. When a storm hits, the tallest tree bends, but it doesn't break. That's you. When you control your emotions, you bend, you adapt, but you don't lose your roots. Emotional control doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It means you understand it. You acknowledge the anger, the hurt, the ego, but you don't let them run your behavior. You process it privately and act with clarity, not chaos. That's what makes your presence different. It's not your looks, not your money, not your charm. It's your composure under pressure. When people can't trigger you, they respect you because they realize nothing gets to you. You're untouchable, unshaken, centered. And that's exactly what women find magnetic too, because calmness equals safety, and safety equals strength. When you stay calm, you're signaling, I'm not moved by chaos, I am the calm. You become the eye of the storm. While everyone else spins, you remain steady. So when someone disrespects you, remember, their goal is to pull you into a fight you can't win, because the moment you react, you validate them. But when you stay calm, when you keep that cold silence, you make them face their own noise. Your calm becomes their chaos. And here's the best part. Your calmness gives you time to think, time to plan, time to act with precision instead of emotion, and that makes you unstoppable. In a world where everyone's triggered, your calmness is your crown. It's what separates you from the crowd. It's what builds your aura, that quiet confidence people can feel but can't explain. So when disrespect comes your way, don't fight for validation. Don't let your ego lead the way. Just smile, say nothing. And let your silence remind them, you don't fight beneath your level. Because calmness isn't a lack of fire, it's fire mastered. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you rare. And that's what makes your silence the loudest revenge you'll ever deliver. The ultimate answer, becoming untouchable, free, and magnetic. Here's the truth most men never fully get. Dealing with disrespect isn't about proving strength or throwing punches. It's about owning yourself so fully that no one else can touch your peace, your power, or your confidence. Ask yourself, why do most guys react? Because they confuse their ego with their identity. They think defending themselves is the same as protecting their value, but defending your ego is reactive. Living in your value is proactive. Let's be honest, what really works? Shouting back, slamming doors, or holding your composure, living your life and letting your energy speak for itself? The answer is obvious. When you embrace detachment, you stop chasing validation. You stop giving energy to people who try to drag you down. And in that space, in that calm, focused space, something magical happens. People start noticing, they start respecting, they start valuing you. Now, let's connect all the dots from the pages we've explored. Run terrain fis. Do not react impulsively. Your calmness signals strength. 2. Do not beg for respect. Your actions and presence communicate it naturally. 3. Do not rely on material proofs. Real confidence comes from competence, purpose, and self-approval. Do not let absence feel like fear. Strategic absence isn't avoidance, it's living fully on your terms. 5. Do not suppress your emotions. Master them instead, and your inner power radiates outward. All of these together create a formula for being untouchable. Imagine this: you're calm, focused, and living with purpose. Disrespect slides off you like water. Your presence alone commands acknowledgement. People, women included, are drawn not because you're loud or flashy, but because your energy is self-contained, rare, and magnetic. And here's the kicker: this isn't manipulation. You're not trying to control anyone. You're simply living a life that commands respect naturally, because when you prioritize yourself, your goals, your peace, you become a force that others want to gravitate toward. Think about the man who's always reactive. He's exhausted, frustrated, always giving his energy to situations that don't serve him. Now think about the man who masters these principles. He's calm, unshakable, magnetic. His world bends around his stability. Opportunities come, respect comes, relationships come, not because he chased them, but because he was already a man of value. This is the ultimate lesson from everything we've covered. Detachment, emotional mastery, presence and strategic absence are not just tactics, they are a way of life. They make you free from the chains of ego and chaos. They make you untouchable. They make your energy the most powerful thing you possess. So the next time someone disrespects you, ask yourself, do I react and feed the chaos? Or do I stand calm and let my life speak? Do I need validation from them? Or do I validate myself through action, purpose, and composure? The solution has been laid out in front of you, not as a temporary trick, but as a lifestyle of strength, freedom, and magnetic presence. A lifestyle where disrespect doesn't control you, scarcity doesn't scare you, and absence doesn't feel empty. A life where you are the standard, unshakable, calm, and respected. This is the end of the journey for this lesson, but the start of your real transformation, because once you internalize these principles, you won't just survive disrespect, you'll thrive above it. You'll become untouchable, you'll become free, you'll become magnetic, and that is the ultimate power.